All right, hey everybody, how we doing? It's the 30th, and got my coffee in the morning when I rise. Give me Jesus. Well, it's not the morning, and I've actually got to refilm this because I've got some new information to add. But I did another episode, and I did another video for another channel I have, and I don't like mixing the videos on the channel, so. Basically, long story short, I was stupid and I deleted it. So, man, it was probably one of the best videos I've done to just the way it works. So, I'm going to go over some stuff I did on this video a couple days ago. And what I had said was I met with somebody that came through the town and spent some time with them. He's just a super intelligent guy, retired Special Forces officer. And now he is a military defense strategy analyst, and so I got to pick his brain a little bit. It was pretty exciting, a little scary. So there were a couple things that he told me, because the first thing I asked was, what do you think? What's going on? What's going to happen? Of course, now it's the 30th. Israel's already invaded Gaza. The ground war has started, but that was prior to that. Basically, he told me there's no going back. It's moving forward. It's coming over here. And so we need to keep our head on a swivel. And he talked about the southern border. He talked about Mexico and China, how China has, the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, has gone into Mexico. They're in Mexico. We already knew they had manufacturing facilities there. But they literally went into this city, this barrio in Mexico, and kicked out the cartel, took over their territory. That's how powerful these people are. And so that's one of the reasons why there's so many undocumented Chinese military-age soldiers coming over the southern border. Now, last week when we were talking, that one day there were like 2,000 that came over the border. What really concerned him, and should concern all of us, is that there are essentially our borders are just open. They're open. I mean, these guys aren't even having to sneak in anymore. So what I didn't know was that there's actually 2 points of entry at each CBP entry station. One is where they vet, and they can process up. They vet the people, get their name and information, all that stuff, and they can process up to 7,800 people per day at that one entry point. Now, he used acronyms. I just can't remember what those acronyms were. But what happens is you get the 7,800 people. Those are the legit people, and they'll wait in line forever, and they'll be vetted. Those are the ones that are really seeking asylum. And then you have the everyone else's, okay? The everyone else's, the ones that don't want to be vetted. They don't want to anyone knowing their information, who they are, where they came from. And there's actually a second portal, a second gate, so that when the 7,800 people per day are processed, they open this other gate and they just flood them through. It was just amazing. It totally blew my mind that that's literally happening, that we have no board, we have really no point of control on our borders anymore. And so that was his big concern. Another thing he told me was that Texas, and that was the name of the video, was that Texas is a high priority. He told me that Texas is a high priority because all of our enemies know that as goes Texas, so goes the nation. So if they can get Texas down, knock us down, get us out of the way, the rest of the nation will be no big deal. And so that should be very concerning for every Texan that watches this at some point in time. And it's so important that you keep your head on a swivel, that you stay vigilant, that you stay alert, that you get to a place of preparedness, because we don't know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. No doubt, just about every law enforcement, federal law enforcement agency, military analysts, they all agree that there are sleeper cells in America right now waiting for a notification to activate. And so we don't know where, we don't know when, and so you're going to have to keep your eyes open and be prepared. Be prepared. Now, one of the main reasons I wanted to come on tonight, other than to recap what I had said in the last video, was I saw where there's going to be a patriot anti-protest to where in Dallas, Texas, I don't know the date on it, but I really had to think about it. It really concerned me. Now, your initial response would be, man, let's go get them. and let's go show them who's boss. We're going to show up in droves, and we're going to be practicing our Second Amendment right, and on all this stuff, and we're just going to outnumber everybody. Here's the issue I see with that. And listen, I love my country, and I've served my country. I was a police officer, and then as soon as I got out of high school, I was in the Army, and so I love this country. I've taken an oath to defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. Twice I've taken that oath in my lifetime. But after saying that, you have to use wisdom. So, because there'd be no greater tragedy, and these people think of this stuff, than to get 250,000 patriots, vets, and great Americans in one place, and then set something off that could hurt somebody, that could do great damage. You're making their job so much easier by gathering together and bunching up. That is a major threat, a huge strategic no-no. Yeah, we want to show them who's boss, but you know what? They're going to find out soon enough who's boss if they ever activate and they start doing something stupid. But I'm not going to give them anything. Personally, I wouldn't show up to that. That's a huge target. That is a huge target. And if something were to happen, we would lose thousands, hundreds or thousands of great patriots and men and women. And so really, if you think about it, that, use wisdom and common sense. And I want you to really consider that, because there's going to be a lot of people there's people right now in this country that are chomping at the bit to be let loose on these animals that are hurting women, children, kidnapping, and doing all kinds of inhumane, horrible stuff, bunch of devils. So, and I understand that. I feel that same way. But at the same time, if something happens to us, if something happens to 1,000 people on one of these anti-protest protests, 1,000 of our people, who's going to take care of their family? Who's going to guard their family, the women and the children, the people that need protection? Because you're talking about 1,000 sheepdogs that are going to let their voice be heard. But we have people that need us. We have people that we're responsible for taking care of. And so as much as I want my voice to be heard, and I want these devils to know that we're nobody to play with, I don't want to put myself in a position to where something could happen. I don't want to make it that easy for them. If I go out, I want to take a magazine full with me. And so I just wanted to come on and kind of, put that little bug in your ear. And so be thinking about what you need to do to prepare. Our grid is weak. We only have so many law enforcement officers, so many homeland military. I think it was estimated that over 3 million people have come across the border in the last 3 years. I'm not saying all of those people are a threat, but definitely I would say common sense would tell you at least half of them are. And so that's a lot. That's 1.5 million people. And if you look at the percentage of Americans that would be able to fight, it's a small percentage of Americans that can actually get up. They're armed. They have any kind of training. And so you really need to be just thinking about what you're going to do. Formulate a plan. Practice it. Practice taking care of your family. Practice sheltering in place. Practice keeping a low profile. Make a plan. Discuss the plan with your family. And then practice. Make sure you've got plenty of whatever supplies you need. Medical supplies, medication. Whatever you're going to arm yourself or use to protect yourself. Make sure you've got plenty of that stuff on hand. It's going to come in handy. And like I said in the past, worst case scenario, if you got a bunch of food you don't eat, you can eat it later on, save yourself some grocery money. But it's just common sense. It's just wise to prepare, because wandering around thinking that everything's just always going to be okay, we'll always be able to depend on the government or whatever electric company that the power is always going to be on, or the water is always going to be on, or fuel is always going to be available at the pump. That's not really forward thinking. And so it's getting pretty dangerous out there. So Israel seems to be doing pretty good. We know we're supporting Israel. We've got a ton of warships over there. Thousands of troops are there and headed there. Of course, now we're bombing in Iraq, and we're supporting them. So essentially it's us, and we're bombing into Syria. and Iran's heavily involved. They've already made several threats that said, look, if we don't get out of Gaza, if we don't get out of the situation, there's going to be another front. They're going to add another war front, which tells us they're talking about on our soil, on American soil. So there's not much we can do as your average American but prepare and stay prepared. I would suggest, if there's any way possible, to find a local militia, or just you got to be careful with people, because essentially you don't really know anybody that's not family or lifelong friends. So I don't say that lightly, but you do need a community of people that you can lean on, that can cover your back, and you're going to cover their back. You would prefer that you have someone with some medical training and some kind of defense training, some kind of self-defense training, hand-to-hand, someone that can handle a firearm and has some kind of a tactical training. Those are going to be assets to you. You alone in your garage with a shotgun and grandma and grandpa and your wife and kids, it's not going to do you much good. You need a community of people. Safety in numbers. So anyway, God bless you, and just be aware, be vigilant. For now, I'm not trying to scare you, but for now, I wouldn't be hanging around in large cities for too long, any longer than you had to be, because these things can pop off at any moment, any second. Something can happen, and I'd hate for you to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But as far as these huge anti-protest, let's go show them how many we are, I wouldn't recommend that. And I hate to sound anti-patriotic, but I'm pro-wisdom, pro-safety, certainly not scared of any of them. Bunch of college kids, they don't know anything, they're ignorant. But when you get thousands of them together and you mix in a handful of really bad actors, it could go south very, very quickly. If I was in a sleeper cell, I would look for that. That'd be a great target. That's something I would just jump at the opportunity to do something in. So if I were you, I wouldn't be anywhere near that. I would keep my distance, watch it on the news, watch it on social media, but I wouldn't put myself in that. That's too high of a risk. You have to mitigate the risk in these situations, because we need you around for when it really goes bad. We need you around for when they're in the streets of America going door to door. We need you. And if you die on a street in Dallas just protesting the protesters, man, what a waste of life. What a waste of blood. We know the saying is, I can't remember. I'll have to look it. I'm going to look it up when I get off. But the tree of liberty has to be watered from time to time with the blood of tyrants and patriots. And don't let your blood, I'd hate for your blood to be wasted. So anyway, God's going to take care of us. He always does. Make sure you're prepared spiritually for whatever's coming, and look for Jesus to come back very, very soon. In the meantime, we'll stay locked and loaded, and we'll stay prepared. We'll see you next time.
They're looking for you.
You're 40 miles behind enemy lines.
They took a lot of people away.